Hey guys, today we are checking out some new products from Sensibo, and it is called the Sensibo Air and Motion Sensor. In short, the Sensibo Air will turn your existing AC or heat pump into a smart home device. The motion sensor pairs with the Sensibo Air to provide data such as temperature, humidity, and motion. Now, I've been using the Sensibo Sky, which is the first generation product, every day for almost 2 years now, and it has been very handy and reliable. So with that experience, I think I can give a practical and meaningful review of the two new products. Alright, cue the intro and let's get to the unboxing. Hey guys, future editing Ariff here. I made a little mistake. I called the room sensor as the Sensibo motion sensor, so please don't get confused. It's actually called the Sensibo room sensor. So that's all I wanted to say. Sorry for my mistake. Now back to the unboxing. Let's first have a look at the Sensibo Air. I really like their color choice and how simple the packaging is. We are immediately greeted by the product. Let's put this aside and see what else is inside. There's some instructions, and down below there's another compartment housing the charging cable, which is a micro USB cable, and there's a power plug. Oh, and there's also a sticker in case you wanted to stick the Sensibo to the wall. Now let's have a look at the room sensor. The packaging is exactly the same, which is a good thing. We have the instructions on the right and the device right in the middle. Let's look at the other contents of the box. There's a stand, mounting bracket, and also a sticker like before. Now let's get into some highlights of the new Sensibo Air and Motion Sensor. The Sensibo will provide you with some really great energy saving benefits. You won't waste any money running the AC in an empty room anymore. The Sensibo can also measure the room temperature, humidity, and even someone's presence. Using Climate React, the Sensibo can automatically adjust the room temperature for the best and most comfortable settings for you. There's also Smart Assistant integration, which I'll demonstrate later using Siri. Before we get into the setup of the device on the application, let me show you where I placed the Sensibo Air and Motion Sensor. The Sensibo Air is hidden under my TV. Even in this position, it can still send a signal to the AC, which is just there. Works perfectly, as long as there is a clear line of sight between the two devices. The motion sensor is placed at the top of my room divider. It's central to the apartment and the height puts it away from anyone's sight. There's actually another room sensor next to it. It's been giving me good information from that position, so I think the Sensibo motion sensor will do just fine there. Now that you've seen the location of my devices, let's set it up in the app. So this is the Sensibo app. As you can see, I have two existing Sensibo devices. Let's add the new Sensibo Air. Add new device. Sensibo Air, plug it in, scan the QR code, and I'm gonna skip over this part. Now we have to assign it to a room. Let's put it as test. The Sensibo will now connect to your Wi-Fi network. Alright, now we have to pair the AC remote to the Sensibo Air. Just point it to the Sensibo and push the power button. It's detected. That was fast. Let's set up the room sensor. It's using very similar steps. You'll need to pair the room sensor to an existing Sensibo Air. I'll see you guys once the setup is done. Setup is done and I've made some changes. I've renamed the living room Sensibo to kitchen and the test Sensibo is now in the middle. This is the home screen. From here you can see all your devices, the temperature, humidity, timer, and even switch the AC on or off. Do note that the test Sensibo has an extra icon because of the room sensor. So if we tap the test Sensibo, we are greeted by an array of features. We can change the temperature, switch the AC on and off. Let's go through the bottom starting with modes. Depending on your AC, you can run it at different modes. We then have the fan level. There's also a setting for vertical and horizontal swing. Next is Climate React settings. Climate React automatically sets your AC based on the temperature settings you set. We then have a timer to switch off the AC. Lastly is Presence React settings. This is enabled by the room sensor. You can set the AC when there's presence detected or switch it off when there's no presence detected. Moving on to the next step, which is schedules. I've scheduled the Sensibo to switch off my AC every day at 7 AM. The next step is events. This is basically a log of everything that is happening on the device. The last step is settings. Siri shortcuts is a really cool feature. Let's set one up right now. I'm gonna put this state as set the test AC on. We'll test this out later. This is the same climate react settings. This is the geofence settings in case you wanted to set a geofence perimeter trigger. This is the same presence react settings. And this is the room sensor details. You can also sync the AC power state. This is if you use the remote and Sensibo at the same time and they're not synchronized. You can share the device or move it to a different location. Appearance is just to change the name, icon and temperature unit. You can also change the remote type if needed, and lastly you can remove the device. So that's a walkthrough of the app and features. Let's get back to the review. Okay, enough of talking about features and flashy words. Let's get into some of my favorite use cases of the Sensibo. On weekdays, I have the Sensibo switch off my AC by 6 AM. This gives a nice rise in temperature so that by 7 AM the room is hot enough and I'll be forced to wake up basically. I really like this feature and it's so simple to do on the Sensibo app because it's so user-friendly. Sure, you can do this on the normal AC remote, but it's a lot more complicated. I can set multiple timers for different days with ease through the app. So I also have a few ways of interacting with the Sensibo, not just using the app. One of it is using Siri shortcuts. Remember the one that we set in the app just now? So I can just say, hey Siri, set the test AC on.
Okay, Ariff.
I think you heard that. There's a HomePod right behind the camera. So it's as simple as that. The best thing is that the comments, either via the app or Siri, works no matter where you are as long as you have internet connection. Trust me when I say this, but having your room pre-cooled before you get back is a lifesaver, especially in the hot weather like here in Malaysia. Another way of controlling the Sensibo is by using IFTTT. Now using IFTTT alone, IFTTT. Oh god. Now using IFTTT alone on the phone is really not that amazing. But when paired with a compatible product such as the Elgato Stream Deck, things get quite interesting. With a push of a button on my Stream Deck, I can just control my AC effortlessly. Now I know some of you may think that this is just an unnecessary way to control the Sensibo when you have the app. But hear me out, this comes in really handy when I am streaming. So when I'm streaming, I sometimes don't have my phone with me, and also I don't want to use my Siri commands on stream. I don't want people to hear them and I don't want to accidentally trigger anyone else's Siri. The last use case that I want to share with you guys is something that is very important to me. One second. So this is our cat. He's a 7 kg American curl and he is very important to us. There are times where we have to leave Husky at home alone for most of the day, especially when we are working or maybe for a quick one-day travel. We leave the Dyson fan running, but sometimes the heat in the afternoon gets really unbearable here. So as long as I have internet on my phone, I can remotely control the AC and maybe switch it on for half an hour or maybe an hour and then switch it back off. This will give enough time for the AC to significantly cool the room. I feel he's getting restless. I feel a little bit more comfortable knowing that I can give him a very comfortable environment even when I'm away. So what's my verdict on the new Sensibo Air and Motion Sensor? Well, firstly, I really like the look. In terms of core functionality for the Sensibo Air, it's pretty much the same as the previous generation, so it might not be an upgrade that you need. What takes the Sensibo Air further is the addition of the motion sensor. Would I recommend getting it? If you don't have one already, then absolutely, it's a very easy yes. It may seem like an unnecessary purchase, but trust me, once you have this, there's no going back. The convenience that you get from using the Sensibo, it's priceless, man. So Sensibo has been kind enough to provide me with a discount code for you guys. All you have to do to claim this discount code on your purchase is click the link in the description box below. Alright, I hope you guys enjoyed this review video. If you guys have any further questions, just drop them as a comment and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. That's it from us, and we'll see you guys for the next review video. You have the best actions ever. See you guys.